Hey you guys, it's Cami with Coast DIY, and I'm here to do your 3D wood perpetual flower tutorial for the more detailed flowers. And I'll probably put a simple flower at the end as well. So I'm gonna do the cone flower and I'm gonna do the layered flower, and I'm gonna start with the cone flower. So for this one, I'm gonna do a bit of a different color palette. I definitely suggest looking up the coneflower colors. They're beautiful, they're different colors. And what I've done to start is I've layered down some paint tape. You can use any tape, but paint tape in like a loop. Because the one that, and I'll put up a visual of the one that I'm gonna try to mimic. And I think it's going to be easier if I can, oh, that's backwards. If I can, it's an ombre look on the petal. So if I can do them all at one time, I think that's going to be easier for me. So I've set them up here on my table. I've even done the center wood ball also on tape. I don't know if that's going to help me at all. So I'm going to start with the wood ball and I'll show you that. So for this color palette, I'm going to be using Cherry Blossom on the wood ball, which is the center. So Cherry Blossom is on its own very purpley looking. So it's this color right out of the can or bottle. I have watered it down a lot here to get a lighter color, because what I want to do, I'd rather build the color than go on really strong with color and not know what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to put one coat on with a wet brush, and that's how I do that. You can also put this on the end of like a paintbrush to paint it, because there's a hole at the bottom of the wood knob, so they've got holes in the bottom. Okay, so that's that. And then for the, let me see if I can, I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna rearrange the camera real quick. Okay, that's a little bit closer. Now the color that I'm gonna do the petals, the way that they looked, it was bright orange on the tips, like almost a yellowy orange, and the center was pink. It wasn't even the color of the center, it was a pink. So it went from a yellowy orange to a darker orange to a pink, which seems impossible. So I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna start with orange to pink first. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm trying to think it through. I'm gonna get a really wet brush, and I'm gonna just dip into my orange. And I'm only gonna start on one row at a time. I'm not gonna try to manage both rows. So let's do the short row first, just in case I blow it. So I'm gonna do orange. I'll come back and add yellow to lighten it up. Right? I'm just trying to keep going until I get the kind of color that I saw. Dip in, I'm gonna get a little yellow to brighten it up. I'm not gonna worry about my edges right this second. I can sand off any excess stain, but I can also, once I finish with my color, pull them up off the tape and wipe them off. So I'm really interested in just getting good color on. Notice that if I just keep it wet, there was a hair, so sorry, I had to get that out. super wet. And remember with stains, if you're using stain, it's what's at the bottom that's gonna stay. So you really gotta get the colors mixed on the wood, not on the top, right? Now I'm gonna rinse real fast. I'm gonna grab me some pink. This is Blossom. I'm gonna go to the tips here. I'm moving kind of quick. Wet brush. I'm gonna grab me a little more orange and go right over the edge of that blossom. It's kind of like a sunset right on each petal. And I know it seems crazy that this is what the flower looks like, but hopefully I've been able to put the picture on there. I mean, I feel like I'm close. The orange might be a little bit brighter than what I'm doing. So I'm gonna actually, I'm mixing a little yellow with the orange on the plate to make sure that it's creating a third color. There we go. I'm pleased with that. And see, this will be the center. If nothing else, it'll be very pretty. So what I'm gonna do really quick is, I'm not even gonna try to grab a paper towel because I think it'll slow me down. I'm just gonna use my fingers and I'm wiping the edges really quick. These, I am very proud of these. Look at that. Okay, that turned out so much better than I expected. This one, when I went in to get the stain, it kind of went up on the edge a little bit, so I just touched that. Oops. Okay, that plywood, not the best. Okay. I've put extra petals in each of the kits, so that one I'm not going to worry about. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Okay, so I'm actually going to move this out of the way. I'm going to move this up for camera purposes only. And now we're going to do that again. Let me rinse my brush. Now, these petals are going to be on the top. The second set of petals will be on the bottom. I could do the same color palette, which is kind of what I want to go for. I think I might go a little deeper on the pink, go further down on the pink when I add the pink. For no other reason than just cause. So I'm gonna kind of take the same, the only problem I've got is I've got these two. So when I get to these two that match those, I want to not do what I just said. Okay, so do the orange. And get my brush. Just keep getting water on your brush. Make it feel like watercolor. I'm gonna grab this mixed color that I just mixed of the orange and the yellow. Put it right in here on top. I really should have put that towards the end. I wasn't really thinking, but that's okay. I'm gonna grab some yellow. It's the beauty of stain, they mix nicely. Again, it's about mixing it on the wood, on the part that's gonna stay closer to the wood. Okay, there we go, that's better. I kind of put that lighter color too far up, but That's the beauty of crafting. Just keep going till you like it. Okay, and now I'm gonna go pink, and I'm gonna go a little lower down with pink and see how that, except for on these two, I'm gonna try to mimic that. And then I'm gonna go maybe halfway down on these with pink. So the pink will mix with the orange a little bit, make it look a little more like coral in that space. And then I'm gonna come back and grab some of this orange with my pinky brush. And I'm just gonna go right over that line right there to help blend the line out a little bit. And then last but not least, I'm gonna rinse and grab just a little bit of yellow and come up from the end. Oh yeah. So I have that bright highlight at the end. Okay, ombreing every petal is now my jam. Okay, let me kind of get these off before the edges get stained permanently. Just again, you can use a paper towel if you want. I'm just gonna use my hands. I'm not going for perfection. I just want to get the majority off that's dripping. This is gonna be my little sunset flower for sure. Love this so much. Wow. You gotta love when something works better than what is in your head. Okay. And last but not least, all right, so these petals will dry. Get rid of this. And then I'm gonna do a second coat on the ball right here. Same thing, watered down cherry blossom, because the picture had, I mean, this center was really, really a rich purple. Not a color I saw on the petals, which you could, if you wanted to, add this purple in the end of the petal instead of the blossom, or you could do this part blossom, so you've got a little bit more continuity between the center and your petals. All right, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna pause it here and let these dry, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm kind of splicing back and forth between my flowers, but these petals on the coneflower are dry to the touch. But as you can see, I got a lot of stain on the backs. Now, where's my coneflower? Oh, here you go. So when you display your coneflower, you don't see a lot of the back, but it's possible. So what I'm gonna do on this one is a quick sand, nothing too dramatic. I'm not gonna worry about taking all that color off. And then I'm gonna do, let me put the camera down. I've decided I'm gonna do this cherry blossom color that is on the center ball part on the back, and I'm gonna do it a little heavy, less watered down, and I'm gonna show you, you know, orange and purple and pink in a watercolory look are beautiful together. So see how you can still see those colors under there, but they kind of look cool. I'm gonna even see what it looks like if I don't sand it. Don't take that extra step. Yeah, I don't think I need to take the step as long as I don't water this purple down too much. Yeah, see the difference when you water a color down and you don't? Get lots of coverage. So I'm gonna paint these backs the color of the center ball. Where's that? And then I'm gonna speed this portion of the video up. Let these dry. And then we will build ourselves a cone flower. I've let the petals dry. They've all got the cherry blossom purpley color on the back. They've got the sunset looking ombre on the front. Oh. And I have spilled a couple on the ground. All right, and we are going to build this up. Now, I've also taken this thinner circle that you see there, and I've stained that as well. So the first, and then the ball is dry also. Ball's had a couple of coats. It's not my best stain job, but you're not gonna see the majority of it. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and I'm actually gonna use my brush to do this, only because I've been using my brush. You could use a Q-tip, a finger, whatever. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on this round. And I'm gonna place the ball. Now, in this one, you can see that I placed the hole really cockeyed to the side. And when I do that, what happens is when you put it on the skewer, it changes the direction the flower goes, right? Okay. Changes how the flower head sits. Now, I'm gonna do this one different, just so that it's different, and I'm gonna do this one straight on, or as straight as I can get it without stressing too much about it. And we're gonna let, oh, and I've just put that right down in there. You're not gonna see a lot of this, so I just set that right in there, okay? Now, the first thing that we've got to do is get these bottom petals on, okay? Now, the cone flower is built on lots of luck and glue. So just know that that is how this is going to go together. And you need to raise up this centerpiece just a little bit if you want to get this much downward motion. So I'm going to grab, let's see, what can I grab? Just grab anything that's, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Something that's going to give you the angle that you want. Okay. And what I'm looking at when I'm doing this is I'm looking at the fact that oh, that's still gluing. I want as much of the flat part of this petal to touch the base of this. Okay. And then the bottom is going to hit the base of this. So you're going to have a couple of points of contact there for stability. That's the key. So I'm just making sure whatever setup I set up, because when I do this, this is going to dry like this for this first layer, okay? You're not going to hold this. I'm going to kind of test all the sides of this little. See, that's not going to work on this side. It's too wide. Oh, here, I've got these over here. Let me use these. I am just using, you could use anything in your house. It doesn't have to be petals. Oh, that's really high. There we go. That's probably more like it. There we go. Better, better. Okay. I'm just using whatever I've got within reach. So you use whatever. Okay. See how that's going to go, and just make sure you pre-check that you can do this. Okay. And then you're going to have, the way that I did it was I did the wavy ones on top. Technically, you could do the wavy on the bottom. You could do them any way that you want. And the way that I did it was the flat part on the wavy goes to the ball point outside. Again, they're your petals. So I'm just kind of setting myself up to make sure I can have enough to go around. You should have plenty. Got one more of these. So I can, yep. Get a little extra space to get this one in. Oh, I got 2 more of those. So I got lots. Yeah, I thought I had put in a lot. Okay, good. And I have plenty. I have plenty. Plenty. So I'm just going to show you. Again, it's glue and time. So you're going to have a bunch of glue, just like the other flowers. You're going to dip in, and the key that you want to make sure that you have on this one is that you've got some on the end and on the corner. Okay, I'm going to hold the ball, and I'm just going to kind of push it up and down on that base. Okay, I'm just going to get them all on. I may have to do some situating once I get around. And you need to put space in between them. You will fill that space with your top layer. My hands have a little bit of kind of stickiness to them with the glue, so I'm just trying to make sure when I'm letting go of this ball that I'm not moving it too much. And then all my petals are still in place. Get around the back side of here. Let's see, I've got 1, 2 more of these, so I think that's perfect. Close enough on placement. Again, petals are not perfect. And then what I'm gonna do is leave this. Do not touch it, let it dry, and then I will be back. Okay, so it's been about, I don't know, about 10 minutes. And you can see a lot of the glue is still white looking. but I can touch it and move it, and that's kind of key. And I was trying to see if I used a wet brush, if I could kind of see if I can show you what I'm doing. Right here, there's that big glob of glue. I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm just using continuous motion and like the effect of water. Yeah. So just gentle brushing water. And now that's gone. So you don't have to do that, but if you don't want to have those big bumps of glue, they'll be clear, but there'll be bumps. My other one has them. They're bumps, but it's just take your time. Like I dipped in the water, dabbed off a little bit, but I didn't realize. So something has happened to mine that I didn't realize had happened. And maybe you did because you were watching the video from your side. And that is that my ball turned while I was doing this. I just noticed it. And that's where the skewer is supposed to go. And that's not gonna really work for the look I'm going for. So I'm gonna keep going because this is a tutorial. So what you would do is you would pull this apart and you would start over. I will not be doing that. And when you see a photo of this on a skewer, you're gonna know that I glued the skewer in because you watched this video and you're gonna laugh at me, and that's fine. And you'll never see this flower from that angle. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna keep going. I don't know what happened. At some point it turned, and you must have seen that on your side because it was, I'm sure, like that, and I just didn't see it. Okay, anyway, we're gonna move on. So now you're gonna glue the second layer, and this second layer has a very small little tip here, and I'll show you, right? And you're going to put it in the center. Now here's the key. This petal is not like evenly spaced type of thing. So what's going to happen is if you center this top part in the middle, your petal's going to go off to the side a little bit, and that's fine. So just kind of play with it a little bit. What I found myself doing was putting glue here and here on the edge. So I'll show you. I dip in and I put a little glue on the edge. Okay, a lot of glue on the edge. Okay, and then I'm gonna let that one edge touch. Now, if I was feeling really fancy, I could try to get this petal to be flat against the ball, but that is not the look I went for. The petal, the top petal will not fully touch the ball. I let this part be the main glue location, okay? So this side of the petal. So just kind of think about how you want it to look. That is your decision. So it's really touching at the bottom of the front of the petal and along that long side. I got a lot of glue right there. I'm gonna do a little wipe. Okay, so I'm gonna do a dip just to get the bottom corner. And apparently I am heavy-handed today. And so I'm just making sure that corner or that edge of that petal is overlapping the petal beneath so that I can get it to touch, because that's what's gonna hold it on. And again, as long as we just let them dry and cure, this is wood glue. It's gonna have a lot of stability. Mine will not be on a stick, apparently, because I blew it, but that's okay. You know, these things happen. It's crafting. I'm not going to stress out about it. I am a little disappointed because I really do like the colors of this flower. I will be making a second one, apparently, because I like the colors so much. And you just keep going around, and then you're gonna let it cure again. Or not cure. Cure takes 24 hours, so just remember with glue, it's gonna be dry-ish, but then you don't really want to start playing heavily with them for 24 hours. So I'd like you to just let them sit, do their thing, be calm, gentle, whoops. Because they really need to have that glue cure, and that's going to take 24 hours. Okay. And there is your not cured coneflower. That can't go on a skewer. Too funny. Oops. Come back here. Oh, I knocked this one down. Okay. See, not quite. There we go. All right. And just let them set. You were watching before. This one's been sitting for quite a bit, and it is much more ready to be manhandled. I'm in love with these colors for sure. I'm gonna see if I can set this aside gently. Gotta set it up on the flowers or on those that little stand. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna pause this so that I can do my editing, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna do a basic flower, okay? Okay, so this part of the tutorial is gonna be for this flower slash succulent. You know, when you look at succulents, you can see this shape petal, but I'm gonna do it because I've got out certain colors right this second. I'm gonna do it as a flower. It's gonna be orange, but the assembly will be the same. So if you paint it green, different colors of green, like bluey greens, that sort of thing, it'll look more like a succulent. So do that if you want. So I'm just gonna, and I'll speed this portion up. But what I'm gonna do, probably not my best angle on the video, but I think this will be good when we assemble. So I'm gonna do, because I've got the colors out, I'm gonna do a tangerine color. You know what? I think I might I'm just gonna go tangerine. I don't know, I might get a little, maybe I'll get a little wild and do a little mix of colors. I'm just gonna grab different colors and see what happens. So I added a little pink on the bottom of that petal. I'll do a little, what's left in my brush of the tangerine, and then I'm gonna grab some lemon. Just gonna see what this looks like. So it's kind of got some variety in the petals. That was my dog moaning. You know, I'll do this test run of this concept. If it looks really bad, then we will know not to do it again. But the idea of different color petals around the same center, just do one tangerine. And I'm gonna dip in lemon again with lots of tangerine still in there. And then maybe what I'll do is touch a little pink for the tips. Don't really want to waste a lot of stain, but try to get it to ombre a little bit better. All right. And then I'll just keep going. Maybe go a little heavier pink on this one. Grab a little, you know, when I grab lemon, of course, with pink, it becomes orange. So that's what makes these three colors really go good together, of course. And then what I think I'm gonna do on the back, so if you don't mask, you know, if you're looking at this as a kit, as my kit, I don't mask the wood. So the backs, you're gonna get a sanding block in your kit, and you're gonna want to sand off. You don't have to go crazy, just a little bit. Sand off that little bit of burn when you do this design, or because you're gonna see the back because of how it sits up like this. So my advice would be to do that probably before you paint. I do like that these are all different colors. I'll be curious how this looks when I put it together. It's gonna I'm hoping that maybe it feels a little bit like watercolors, you know, when you look at a painting of a flower. Okay. And then the center of this, it does seem that I've touched the side of this ball with my finger, so I'm gonna grab a fresh one just for purposes of this video. And I think I'm gonna do, I'll just grab some tangerine because it's a darker of the colors. Make this stick really good. And then just get a good coat. You're gonna cover a lot of this ball with this design, but you do want to make sure it's stained because you will see, you'll see it between the petals. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this while these dry. I will sand the backs of these and then I'll stain the backs and I'll be back. Okay, now we're going to assemble the succulent slash layered flower. We're gonna do that first. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna edit the video, but we're gonna do that now. And this one is not for the faint of heart the way that I assemble it. And I tend to use, or I like to use Type On Quick and Thick. And here's my rationale for using this glue, which is not the simplest to use the way that I assemble. I like to use this because it dries clear. And you can't see the glue in this piece. That's why I like to use this glue. So you could use super glue. I'm not great at using super glue. I tend to glue my fingers together, and that's just the truth. You could also use hot glue. Hot glue has a tendency with wood to pop apart sometimes, so I'm also not the best fan of hot glue. Let me see. So this one is hot glue. So, and it's not breaking, it's just popping off. So, you know, it's a thought. Not that you're going to be breaking off your petals. So if you're more comfortable with hot glue, do that. If it falls apart, then you can do this method. So go with what you're comfortable with. But it's how you put the petals on that's really important that we're going to talk about. So I have, off video, I sanded the backs and then I stained the backs. So I've got all of these stained, both sides, multicolored. And so I, on this flower, like to start in the middle. And my reason for that is I want to get this look right here, and I'm less concerned with the placement of the bottom petals and how far down the ball they go. So there is on these, let me see if I can get one that's, if you look at your ball here across from where the hole is, you can see from the way they're carved, there's almost this little circle. It's not really a circle, it's just from the carving, but it's almost like a circle, right? It might even be from where they drilled the hole. I'm not really sure what causes it. I am using that, and you can still see it when you stain. If you paint, you may have to look at another one just to get a general sense for where that is. So on this first round, oh, let me get situated here where I'm on camera good. I'm gonna take a petal. I've got a pile of glue here. I've got to find my glue pot. I did a little organizing for something in my glue pots somewhere. I'm gonna dip in, and I'm gonna set this, and I've got time to do a little glue cleanup in a second. But what I'm doing when I'm holding this on is I'm making sure that the curve that's cut into the petal is flat against the knob. It is cut specifically for the size of this knob, so it will fit. I'll show you when I'm not holding it with a bunch of glue. Now, I am not going to let you suffer. I will speed this portion of the video up, but I do want to sit here for just a second and let you see that it does take a minute to do this. And it's still not stuck, right? And that's okay. You could even tape down the ball now that I'm thinking about it. That might be a good, oh, look. I think I had too much glue. You'll get a balance. The other thing you want to be careful of, oops, is the edges of these, you know, where they've been cut, they can have a tendency to be sticky. So watch your fingers. When you're holding it, your fingers can get stuck to it. And when you are holding it really hard, pushing it on the ball, and then you release, your fingers are stuck, and then you pull the petal off. So that's just a tip. Have a wet brush right next to this, okay? As long as you keep that brush in water, it is not going to ruin that brush, promise. And then you can rinse it as long as you keep it in water in between, right? So I'm going to dip in. I'm actually going to use the edge of this plate to kind of flatten. I had maybe a little bit too much glue. I'm going to touch my petals on this top layer. Now, if you don't get your placement right on this first layer, on this flower specifically, you might not be able to fit them all around. Don't be frustrated. You may just have to, while the glue is still gluing, you may have to pop them off. And I hate to say it, you may have to do them again, lower or higher, depending, probably lower. If they don't fit, go down a little bit lower. Okay. And don't let go of the ball because it's not now going to be not balanced. But you can see that while it's not the fastest of things, it's also not taking me 10 hours either. I really do like this multicolor look. I didn't brush off my excess glue after that petal. I don't tend to, when I'm doing them by myself, do it after each petal. I will do a few. I was making sure my fingers aren't sticking. Now, just because the petals are staying up there does not mean that if I didn't like knock it really hard, they're not going to fall off. They're not quite good, but once you get these on, you're going to go around with a second layer that's going to support them. Now, some people are really good at doing a dab of super glue and wood glue. The beauty of wood glue is that it is very strong once it's cured. Very strong. Some say stronger than the wood itself. And they will do a dab of super glue for speed and then wood glue for the strength and permanence of it. But these petals are so small, and I am such a horrible super gluer. I just couldn't get my big old lug of fingers to get it to work. And I just have a little bit of patience. So you can see I'm just about done. Oh, look, I got it to work. I have a little extra space, so I went a little low on mine, but I'm very comfortable with my petals not being evenly spaced on these flowers because petals aren't evenly spaced on flowers. It doesn't bother me one bit. I think it makes them look really cool. Again, you see me doing this just before the glue gets really stuck. I move my fingers a little. I just want to make sure that they're not sticking to that edge of the flower. Petal, sorry. And just be careful. Oh, now that's cute. Okay, so that layer is done. I could go back right now with my brush while that glue is wet, carefully, very carefully. I have a very wet brush, medium wet brush, maybe the best way to say this. And if I just gently brush, let me make sure you can see what I'm doing. Gently, you're not trying to knock your petals off. That really defeats this purpose. And I'm not removing glue that's doing a job. I'm just removing all of this excess. Now, keep in mind, this glue's going to dry clear. So I'm not overly, really concerned about it. That was a lot of water. So I'm going to dry my brush and let my brush remove that water real quick. I got a little... I don't want too much water to get in between the petal and the ball. Okay. So that just kind of cleans it up. You're not going to see what's down on the bottom because I'm going to put a second layer. All right, now go for the second layer. And what you're going to do is you're going to position these in between. Okay, same technique. But here's what you need to remember. Oh, hold on. Let me set this down. Let's talk about the curve of the ball and the curve of the piece. See how that... hold on. Let me get a fresh... See how that fits? That's the look, that's the position you're going for. Okay, not like this. Not one edge of it. You want it flat. At least for this flower. On the comb flower, I'll show you. It'll be a little bit of a different placement for some of it, but for this one, and that's important right now because of this. So you're not going to touch this flower right here, okay? I'm trying to be very careful with that. See how the second and third rows stick out? That's the look you're going for, and you get that look because of how the ball is shaped. I have to come down. I am touching the bottom of those petals. Let me make sure I'm centered. I'm touching the bottom of them, but this thing is flat. The other thing I've done is because I've let this sit long enough, I can turn this sideways and I can use gravity to my advantage now. And I don't have to sit there and hold that. And because it's sitting perfectly on that ball, I can just let it sit there for just a second and do its thing. If I wanted to, if I felt the urge, I don't usually, but I could remove that excess glue. I usually don't worry about it when it's underneath like that because again, it'll dry clear. So I'm gonna let that set up for just a few minutes and then I will get my next petal ready. To let you see what I'm putting that on, and then I will turn it a little bit, again being ever so careful because again I'm not putting any pressure on these petals. I'm going to center it on those two. I can feel it, it's touching this way, like it's touching the bottom there, and it's flat on the ball. And again, I'm letting gravity do its thing by having this petal up because I gave this one enough time. So this is where the process gets much easier. And if you had like a, the flower itself, well, I wouldn't get it. It wouldn't be perpendicular. You could create like a something to set it in, right? Like that would hold it for a couple of turns, that you could do something else. So that would work. So I'm gonna give that a second. And then you just keep going. Third layer is going to be identical. You're going to do the exact same thing. Actually, let me go ahead and I will actually show you the third layer. That way I can then just speed up the video. So I can do the third layer between these two here. Third layer, do the same thing. Touching the bottom of these two, just barely touching them. But this piece is flat on the ball with that curve. Just making sure it's centered where I want it. And I'm going to lift this because gravity is not exactly where I want it to be. If I've got this straight up and down perfectly, I don't have to touch it. Now I will go, because this is the bottom, and I'm going to remove that. extra glue right there. Just a little bit, and that fell. Too much water, and I tilted it. So get it back and let gravity do its thing. So I'm gonna speed up the next portion of this video, and I will put the second layer on and then the third layer, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I have finished with that, and that is the final flower. And honestly, I love the colors so much. It is obviously still drying. You can still see the glue. I'm going to be super careful with it. And as I was going any places that had a ton of glue, while I had it up, I was using my brush to kind of clean, you know, a lot of excess out, but I didn't go so crazy that I was taking it all out. Again, it will dry clear, but I don't have the best lighting right here, but that is stunning. So we're gonna let that set and we're gonna let that dry, and I love that. Okay, so this last one, I'm gonna do a basic flower, just a simple, super simple flower. I've got these petals just sitting in a bag. Nothing special. Could be any flower, any color, any flower. I'm gonna do, just continue to use the colors that I've got available on my plate. So I'm going to, I think I'll do another purple center. So this is, let me put this down. Oops, sorry for my hand. There we go. So I've put this on some paint tape that I just keep reusing. Again, you can put the little wood balls on a stick. You could put them on a skewer. That would work. Okay. All right, let's set that aside. And then let's do, I'm just gonna do one coat on these petals just for speed. And then we'll jump right into putting this together. And I've been having a really good time with some ombre. So I'm gonna do that again because I like it so much. I've been doing Blossom, a little orange, which is tangerine, which is a new color, and then lemon. So I'm gonna do a little tangerine to start. A little blossom. On there. Liking the concept of, like on this one here, I don't know, I just grabbed different colors and I didn't wash the brush a lot. So it's giving like a watercolor effect. And then a little more lemon at the end there. I'm gonna go straight in for some blossom here on the end to get a little bit more of a pink hue without the orange in it, and then add some lemon maybe over here. One more blossom. Go back into the orange again. So you really can just do any colors that blend nicely. Let's throw some heavy blossom and grab some yellow too, so it's a little different. And then just grab some yellow and maybe a little more blossom. Okay. All right. So those have done their thing. And then I'm going to show you a simple way that you can do a gluing. I need to dry this off real quick. Of course, it's stained, so it's already done its little staining. I just don't want it to technically you'd want to let that dry a little longer. I'm not going to worry about it right this second. So you're going to need something that's even all the way around to lift up. I'm going to use these because they're sitting, hold on, they're not the same thickness. So these are. I'm going to use these and see if that'll work. There we go. These are all the same thickness. And I'm simply going to do this and glue it right to the ball. And because I have it up on these risers, I'm going to even do that. I can glue it to the ball and let it just sit there and hold. And I won't require me to hold it with my hands. And then I can let gravity do its thing. And then I've got a really simple flower that is going to use the strength of the wood glue to hold it together. So all you're going to do is dip the corners in and then straight on. I will clean up any excess. I'm pushing pretty hard right there. I'm going to mix my colors pretty good. You're going to have a little space probably. I have to see. I haven't done these petals yet on this, to be honest, so I actually don't know. Is that the right height? Sorry, that's my dogs. All right, I'm gonna go for this one. And the beauty of the glue is I can get all the way around, and if I need to squish these together, I can. Sorry, they're out there yelling at the neighbor. Okay, I've got plenty of room actually, so what I'm gonna do is space them out just a little. I'm not gonna worry about perfection, just a little spacing. And then all I'm gonna do is make sure these are seated flat onto the ball so that the whole of the edge of the petal is on the ball. There's something happening on this side that it's not. There we go. And then I'm just gonna leave that. And once it cures, then I've got a flower. What I'll do is take my brush and just, it's like a medium wet brush. And just do a gentle cleanup, not moving anything. What I'm doing when I move over here, oh, you can see I'm wiping off onto the paper towel. Nope. Being very gentle, I'm not moving. Got a lot of glue right there. I gotta get the, just doing a little cleanup. I'm a little heavy-handed with glue, I will not deny that. I find it a little easier to be heavy-handed and clean up. Okay. And again, this will dry clear. So as long as I feel like I've got like a flat surface of glue, I'm comfortable with that. I don't have like huge bumps of glue and that sort of thing. I'm good. So I'm gonna let that dry and I will bring it back and show you when it's dry. Okay, so I am back and it is dried enough to pick it up anyway. I need to paint the back. I haven't done that obviously, but you can see it's perfect. This one's been sitting for a very good long time. So we'll put that one on a skewer as well. I would stain the skewers, obviously. Maybe that's not obvious, but I would, even though I haven't. Got that one a little close to the edge of the jar. Oh, she's tall. And then I can't put the skewer in this one because I blew it, but the colors are fantastic and they all go together. I'm digging the purple, pink, orange, yellow kind of theme. So that is your tutorial. My advice, have fun. How could you not have fun with flowers? If you need to, you can use a bigger base like this one and get a little bit more comfort when you put it on, and that way you've got more control of your petals. You can use a base or a half round that doesn't have a hole in it. For those of you that buy my... That happens all day long in my house. For those of you that buy the file, if you want, you can buy the half rounds and do them like this. Notice that the petals go up because I'm aligning the angle with the round. You wouldn't be able to put these flat because the curve. So it kind of naturally gives you some dimension. This one, I used a round on the bottom. This one, I put the round on the top for a little bit of color. So there's lots of things that you can do. Have a really good time with them. Enjoy them. I think they're fun. I'm really digging this whole kind of watery color kind of look. When I get out of this bad lighting and I take some photos, you'll see the photos at the front and the back of this video. I keep looking at the wrong spot of the phone for the camera, but once you do that, you'll see these colors much better. And I hope you love it. Enjoy, have such a good time with these, and I hope you love them as much as I do. Thanks for watching.